Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into some of the most expensive mistakes in history. You won't believe how much these blunders cost. We're talking billions and billions of dollars down the drain because of a wrong calculation, a software glitch, or just plain bad luck. Get ready to have your mind blown as we break down these epic fails and the crazy chain reactions they set off. Alright guys, imagine this. You spend years building a spacecraft, it blasts off perfectly, and then, poof, it disappears. That's exactly what happened to the Mars Climate Orbiter. This thing was supposed to study the Martian atmosphere, super important mission, right? But here's the kicker. A bunch of really smart scientists forgot to convert their measurements from imperial to metric. I know, right? It's like forgetting to add the yeast to the bread. The result? The orbiter went off course, burned up in the Martian atmosphere, and cost NASA a whopping $125 million. This one's a tough one, guys. We're talking about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill back in 2010. Picture this. An explosion on an oil rig, 11 people losing their lives, and oil gushing out into the ocean for almost 3 months straight. It was an environmental catastrophe, plain and simple. BP, the company responsible, ended up paying over $60 billion in fines, cleanup costs, and settlements. That's more than some countries' entire economies. It's a stark reminder that cutting corners and ignoring safety protocols can have devastating consequences. Remember AOL? Back in the day, they were the kings of dial-up internet. So, they decided to merge with Time Warner, this huge media conglomerate, thinking it would be a match made in heaven. But guess what? It was more like a match made in, well, you know, the dot-com bubble burst, the merger was a disaster, and they ended up losing a mind-boggling $99 billion in 2002 alone. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of overestimating synergies and underestimating the challenges of merging two very different corporate cultures. Chapter 4. Fukushima, when meltdown means mega money. This one's a real heartbreaker. In 2011, a massive earthquake and tsunami hit Japan, causing a meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. It was the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl, and the cleanup and compensation costs are estimated to be around $200 billion. Think about that for a second. $200 billion to try to fix the damage caused by one event. It's a sobering reminder of the immense power of nature and the importance of being prepared for the unexpected. Chapter 5. The 45-minute, $440 million typo. Okay, this one's wild. Buckle up, because this story is going to take you on a roller coaster ride through the high-stakes world of finance. Imagine writing a typo in an email and losing your entire life savings. Now amplify that scenario to a corporate level, and you might begin to grasp the magnitude of what happened here. Well, that's kind of what happened to Knight Capital, a high-frequency trading firm. This wasn't just any firm, they were a major player on Wall Street dealing with millions of dollars every single day. Back in 2012, a software glitch caused their trading algorithms to go haywire. This wasn't a minor bug, it was a catastrophic failure that sent shockwaves through the financial world. They were buying and selling stocks like crazy, executing thousands of trades per minute. The trading floor was a frenzy of activity, but something was terribly wrong. The problem was they were losing money on every single trade. Each transaction was a financial disaster, compounding losses by the second. It took them 45 minutes to figure out what was going on and shut down the system. During those 45 minutes, the team was in a state of panic, scrambling to identify the issue, but by then, the damage was done. The clock was ticking, and every second meant more money down the drain. They lost $440 million, a staggering amount that left the company reeling. The financial loss was so severe that it shook the entire market, and the company was forced to sell itself off. This once powerful firm had to find a buyer to survive, marking the end of an era for Knight Capital. It's a stark reminder that in the world of high finance, even a small mistake can have catastrophic consequences. The Knight Capital incident serves as a cautionary tale for traders and firms alike, highlighting the importance of vigilance and precision in every aspect of financial operations. Chapter 6. The Titanic luxury liner sinks, takes millions with it. We all know the story of the Titanic, right? The grand ship that was deemed unsinkable, a marvel of modern engineering and luxury. It was the pride of the White Star Line and a symbol of human ingenuity and ambition, the unsinkable ship that hit an iceberg and sank on its maiden voyage. It was a night of sheer horror and disbelief as the mighty vessel met its tragic fate in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. But did you know that the disaster cost the White Star Line, the company that owned the Titanic, around $7.5 million in 1912? This was a staggering amount at the time, reflecting not just the loss of the ship but also the immense financial burden that followed. That's the equivalent of over $400 million today. Imagine the financial shockwaves that rippled through the company and the industry as a whole. They had to pay for the ship itself, of course, but also for all the lost cargo, which included valuable goods and personal belongings of the passengers. The financial implications were vast and far-reaching. The lawsuits from the victims' families added another layer of financial strain. Families who lost loved ones sought justice and compensation, leading to lengthy and costly legal battles. And then there was the damage to their reputation. The White Star Line, once a name synonymous with luxury and reliability, now faced public scrutiny and a tarnished image. The disaster was a public relations nightmare. It's a tragic reminder that even the grandest of human creations can be brought down by the forces of nature. The Titanic's story is not just one of a ship sinking, but of human hubris, the unpredictability of nature, and the far-reaching consequences of a single, fateful night. Chernobyl. The name alone sends chills down your spine. In 1986, a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded, releasing a massive amount of radiation into the atmosphere. It was the worst nuclear disaster in history, and the consequences are still being felt today. The total cost of the disaster, including the cleanup, the health impacts, and the economic losses, is estimated to be around $235 billion. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of nuclear power and the importance of safety and responsibility when dealing with such powerful forces. Chapter 8. Samsung's exploding phone fiasco. Remember the Samsung Galaxy Note 7? It was supposed to be the hottest phone of 2016, but things didn't exactly go according to plan. Turns out some of the batteries had a nasty habit of, well, exploding. Samsung had to recall millions of phones, and the whole debacle ended up costing them an estimated $5.3 billion. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of quality control, especially when you're dealing with products that can literally catch fire in your pocket. Chapter 9. Challenger, a space tragedy for the ages. The Challenger space shuttle disaster is one of those events that's seared into our collective memory. In 1986, just 73 seconds after liftoff, the shuttle exploded, killing all 7 astronauts on board. The investigation revealed that the disaster was caused by a faulty O-ring seal, a relatively inexpensive part that failed due to cold temperatures. The cost of the disaster, including the loss of the shuttle and the subsequent investigation, was approximately $5.5 billion. But more importantly, it was a national tragedy that shook NASA to its core, and forced them to re-evaluate their safety procedures. Chapter 10. The subprime mortgage crisis. The $10 trillion crash. Okay guys, get ready for this one because we're talking about the big one. The subprime mortgage crisis. This was not just any financial hiccup. It was a seismic event that shook the very foundations of the global economy. This is the one that brought the global economy to its knees back in 2008. The ripple effects were felt in every corner of the world, from the bustling streets of New York to the quiet towns in Europe and Asia. It all started with these risky mortgages being handed out like candy to people who could barely afford them. Banks and financial institutions were more than willing to approve these loans, driven by the promise of high returns. But when people couldn't pay them back, the whole system came crashing down. Banks failed, and the financial institutions that had bet big on these risky loans found themselves in deep trouble. Millions lost their jobs and homes, leading to a wave of foreclosures and evictions. Families were torn apart and communities were devastated. The world economy lost an estimated $10 trillion. That's an astronomical figure, almost impossible to comprehend. The impact was so severe that it led to a global recession, affecting industries and economies worldwide. That's trillion with a T. The sheer scale of the loss was unprecedented, and it took years for the global economy to recover. It's a stark reminder that even the most complex financial systems are built on a foundation of trust and responsibility. When that trust is broken, the consequences can be far-reaching and devastating. And when that foundation crumbles, the consequences can be catastrophic. The subprime mortgage crisis serves as a powerful lesson in the importance of financial oversight and the dangers of unchecked greed. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing content. We've got more mind-blowing stories, crazy challenges, and epic giveaways coming your way, so you don't want to miss out. See you next time!